Welcome to our next adventure with Chemology 411, a podcast about anything and everything. Kim and her guests will take you behind the scenes, behind the story, or behind the bar. So sit back. Make sure your seatbelt is fastened, tray table in its upright position, all carry-ons stored under the seats. But for this adventure, electronic devices must remain on, as we are ready to take off on our next adventure. Introducing Kim Schultz and Chemology 411.
Welcome to episode 13. Tonight's topic is New Year's resolutions. I am Kim Schultz. I'm your adventure coordinator for this show. Let's say hi to my co-host, Tyson Harley.
Hey, how's it going, Kimmy?
I am awesome. How are you?
Good. So I was thinking, you know how we've been kind of just organically forming this format of this show, and up front I've just been like, hey, here's something kind of funny or what I've been doing lately. Right?
That was supposed to be funny?
No, not right there. Oh, man. So
sorry.
where it's allegedly going to be fun. Anyway, these little things are just like tidbits, and I'm thinking we can call that Tyson's Quick Hits.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
It could be like, and we could even like make a liner or something.
Right, maybe we can have
I'll
some
eat
music.
your children. That's the worst Mike Tyson. I can't.
It's not getting any better.
I was trying it before, and part of the funny is I can't do a good imitation of Mike Tyson, and that's right up there with Schwarzenegger. Most people can do a Tyson imitation, a Mike Tyson imitation, but I can't do it. Anyway, for Tyson's Quick Hits today.
Quick hits today. What do we got?
First, what is happening tonight? You said you heard the news. When you hear this, people, this will be, I don't imagine it starts up right away, but the decision allegedly has already occurred.
Right.
On the first time it's happened since the late 90s, about 23 years, I think it's been. Impeachment. So you were telling me...
Yeah, the U.S. representatives actually voted to impeach our president.
So now the Senate gets to do their deal.
Right.
I don't know how soon that will start. Now, I told you I wasn't keeping up with it, and why was that? Because I believe in District of Columbia less than I believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'm sort of like in the same boat. Although I am happy to find out that the Republicans have gotten a heart, and from now on, the Democratic presidents can basically do whatever they want, and they're just going to sit back and let it happen. Because
So you heard my mild cursing when I heard about that. Because I am a dyed-in-the-wool cynic who actually pays attention to what the politicians do, like, not reading the bills and then passing who knows what.
Right.
And you've seen some of my stuff.
Including all of the things that they need. And then they say, if you don't vote for this, children will die.
Meanwhile, what's really in there is bad stuff. Now, number two. Quick hit number two. That is, hey... Thank you for the card and the brownies. So I get this small box the other day. I'm like, I haven't ordered anything. Did I get new checks? What's going on here? And it was one of the Sophie Card Matters.
Yeah.
And it was really nice quality. And I'm not saying, so apparently this is an option. There were brownies in there.
Yes.
They were rich. I mean, good. But also, I should take that back. It's going to sound like they were good brownies. Or I said rich because... At work, we've been having all these treat days, like different departments do treat. So I've had a lot. I'm this close to be type 2 diabetic.
Type 2 diabetic,
like right now.
It is the holiday season.
But no, thank you for that. And that card was really cool. So good job on that little enterprise that you got going.
Well, and we do that as our commercial right now that I'm running until we get my new stuff. I'm working on some new commercials with some actual clients. But I wanted you, because you always hear the commercial, I wanted you to experience the company that I have with all my Selfie Cards Matters.
And the other thing, too, is that what you did was you grabbed just a photo on social media, which I know that can be good, but if ever you have a high-quality photo and you put it up to social media, they compress it. It's not the same as what you took on your phone. And the photo looks great on that cardstock.
Yeah.
I mean, like I even want to put it up just somewhere, like in my cube or something.
And that's what I send them for. People don't throw my cards away because it normally has important things on the front of it, whether it's a picture of their family or their animal or something that they really appreciate. So that's what that card.
Yeah, that's very good. And so what are the options? You just happen to put that in with the brownies, or there are various options?
There's tons of there's tons of gifts. You can do brownies. You can do they have some confetti cakes that are really good. There's jewelry. There's lotions, candles, books. There's just there's a whole selection of gifts that you can pick from. The brownies are my favorite for the first gift I send.
Again, I know that sounded kind of weird at front, but they are good.
They're so good, yeah.
Quick hit number 4. Anyway. I don't know if you saw this on my regular social media, but Christmas time, and guess what I got? I got a major award.
Whoa.
It is glorious.
So, who gave you this major award?
Well, I won it in a contest, and I think it's probably Italian.
Italian?
Yeah, because the box said Fragile.
Fragile.
So, I don't know if you saw on my social media, but I have in my front... I thought it was proper to put right where everybody could see it going by.
I did see... We talked
this
about...
incredible leg lamp.
We talked about that in like few episodes ago.
Yeah.
When we were talking about Christmas trees, you said
I said
don't
I might put
there.
that up instead of Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. It's small. I live in a smaller
adorable.
Place. Yes, totes adorbs.
It was.
Hey.
although your dogs across the street that love you so much. I love it.
So, yeah, I got a major award, and I took pictures of it in my window. It's pretty glorious. And if I had a wife, I don't know if she'd agree with having it up there. But I think it's tasteful and a work of art. So
that's right. As long as it's not better looking than your wife's leg, she probably wouldn't have a problem with it.
Well, plus, the good thing about that is most wives have both legs. So usually they shouldn't be too threatened.
Shouldn't be threatened by
leg lamps.
Yeah.
Also, this is actually a small version, so I'd have to have a dwarf wife.
Dwarf wife.
At least I used dwarf and didn't actually use the other term that can supposedly be semi-offensive. And then quick hit number 5. Sorry. So sometimes when I come over here, I come to different parts of town that I'm used to, and I drop by your grocery store, and remember last week I said, "Aw, the little Christmas tree farm! Oh, they got the lights on it.
It's got like 20 Christmas trees."
Yeah,
the lights.
And we had a nice storm this last Sunday. I say nice. It was whatever. If you guys are NFL fans, you saw that KC got hit. So we're not far from Kansas City, and they were having that fun in the snow during the game. So it was that Sunday.
Awesome fun in the snow.
Yeah, and so some of that stuck. But anyway, so it does feel a little bit more like Christmas is coming, and since it's close, we've had the cooler weather. That snow has stayed on the ground. Right over there by where that Christmas tree farm was, that made me just feel so
Hallmarky?
Yes, Hallmarky. Hallmarky. Just sounds like some nickname or something. Like the world's worst nickname. You can call me Hallmarky. I'm in the movies that are about... Anyway, on that grocery store, I noticed on the roof, that's a really good Santa sitting up there.
It's been up there for, I think they said 60 years. That's they put that Santa up there.
This is a high-quality Santa. Yeah. This does not look like an inflatable.
No,
it's
like a metal one.
Anyway, that really looks nice at night. So, yeah. All right, that's the end of Quick Hits.
Well, I want
1, 2, 3 in the Quick Hits.
I was going back. You were talking about the snowstorm that we had on Sunday, and for those people who live in California and stuff like that, they don't understand French toast weather. I call it French toast weather because as soon as, and I'm talking, the snowstorm came on Sunday. It was supposed to start Sunday later on, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the grocery stores in our community, they become out of control when they hear that we're going to get anywhere from 3 to 7 inches of snow. Okay. Now, if you live in Wisconsin or North Dakota, that's like a dust stain.
Yeah, it's like
they
hear that and their heartbeat goes up
right.
1/2 beat per minute.
I mean, like that doesn't matter. But in our community, it's like lines. There's no bread, there's no eggs, and there's no milk. And so what I call that is French toast season.
Apparently, everybody's having French toast.
Everybody's gonna have French toast. And so my friend Trisha, she's a chef and she does catering and she makes cakes and stuff. And it was Monday, and she said, "Oh, great! Now I gotta get out and buy eggs." I should have bought them this weekend, but I didn't want to get out, but I need eggs to make whatever she was making. And I responded on there. I go, "You think there's going to be eggs left after a snowstorm?" And she goes, I'm a little worried about it. And I'm thinking, I'm sure there's people out there with their 7 dozen eggs that are willing to sell them to you for like $9.
Yeah, it's weird. You said you didn't leave the house.
I
didn't leave the house. I mean, I wasn't worried about it, but in this part of the country, with the traffic on the main roads in town, if you get to that, usually, as long as there's been a few hours of traffic on it, they're okay. But the roads right in the middle of neighborhoods, people can get stuck on.
Well, and my friend flipped her Durango. She went around the corner and hit a wall, and it flipped her car with her and her son in it. I'm just going to stay in the house.
Yeah, because the thing is about that snowstorm is that it just kept coming throughout the day. So that usual little layer that usually you can kind of bite through because you're getting traffic on it, just continued to lay down for a while.
It snowed. It was supposed to start later on, but it didn't. It started like 7 in the morning. So yeah, we got our first big snowstorm, and then this Sunday it's going to be like 50-some degrees.
I heard that.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
Fine with me. I mean, I'm headed south for Christmas, so it just means the drive's a little easier. We don't have to worry about
we
any
don't
concerns.
want all that kind of
concerns
stuff.
of the drive, and my mother doesn't have to worry. You know, she already worries that 99% of the time I'm driving all over, but as soon as it's a trip to her house, she's worried.
Right.
It's the strangest thing. I've been driving this whole time, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I did yesterday?
Just be careful. I couldn't get to sleep because I weren't sure if you're going to make it. It's funny. I mean, it's cute.
It is. It is cute.
But it's just cares. Like, Mom.
Yeah, like I've done
every day.
this before.
When's the last time I was in an accident? Do you even remember?
Better knock on the wood right there. Knock on wood. So anyway, so by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be right before New Year's Eve, and
it'll come out Tuesday, which is New Year's Eve day.
Correct. Yeah. So it makes it perfect for us to talk about New Year's resolutions and actually where they kind of came from. And I was kind of shocked when I was reading through some of the stuff of what actually, like why we actually have it, because I did not know that in other places, and I don't know in the United States, because you have to remember this all happened over 4,000 years ago. So
what had happened?
What had happened? That had happened.
What had happened 4,000 years ago?
New Year's resolutions.
Whoa.
So we weren't around. We weren't even thought about, like...
You mean in America?
Yeah, America wasn't here.
America.
No America. There was nothing going on. But the ancient Babylonians were the first people to make the New Year's resolutions. And I don't want to go through, like, all the notes that I had, because I have a lot of different notes here. But I am going to kind of go down just a little bit about where New Year's resolutions came from, because it's kind of always interesting to find out where our history did really kind of come from and all the different changes that we had. So like I said, it was over 4,000 years ago that people started making this, and they were also the first to hold the recorded celebration in honor of the New Year. But the New Year was not in January. So January wasn't month number 1. It was actually March.
And that made sense because it was more like spring, which in some ways you kind of think of that as a new beginning, right? Because it's time to plant stuff,
Correct.
Things are blooming,
right.
That type of thing.
Yeah, and so that actually even makes more sense to me, because it was basically the new year of the new crop, of all that kind of stuff, and then...
Yeah, it's like in the winter, it's like everything is just kind of asleep, and then all of a sudden the new year awakens, if you will, come when things are blooming. or at least have a chance to start blooming in that March area,
right?
Which makes a lot of sense.
Well,
and it was a long festival. It was a long
right,
situation.
like 12 days. Like it was big because what a lot of people, and we've had this episode before of what a lot of kids nowadays will never understand is farming. And how, because everybody before used to farm and crops and all that stuff. So it was basically kind of that big celebration of planting the crops and getting all that kind of stuff done. And then when they made their resolutions, they didn't just make them to themselves, they made them to gods.
Yeah, and I like this idea too that, about that debt I owe you, which is, hey, God, I owe my neighbor whatever. I totally will pay that. And,
right.
And by the way, I've had that guy's hoe. That sounded weird. I've had that guy's rake. That's another entire different debt. I borrowed that guy's hoe.
No.
I borrowed that guy's hoe 9 months ago.
Yeah, 9 months
ago. And I need to return that object. Here's your hoe back.
Here's your hoe back.
But whatever. No, seriously, they're like, right. Okay, let's promise to make up for our debts and to, if you borrowed anything, return
everything.
And every year it's like a new pledge to the king, or that was also the time they might crown a new king. So
right.
That was interesting.
But if you didn't, then you had the wrath of God or a god after you and it was the pagan gods for not doing it. So that would be nice. Could you imagine how clean your house would be? And then you'd be like, somebody knock on your door and they're like, here's your video that I borrowed, 9 months ago. And you'd be like, where? I thought I lost this video. Or
and then and then you smile and it goes ting.
Yeah.
Every shiny smile, ting, look at me.
So
return the video.
Right. It's like,
and they're like, I don't even know what this is. We're in ancient Babylonia. Don't worry about it.
Don't know.
I borrowed it from you. Anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, but yeah, so that's kind of where that went. It changed. Let's see here. A similar practice by the ancient Romans after the reform-minded emperor Julius Caesar tinkered with the calendar and established January 1st as the beginning of the new year, 46 BC, named for...
Now, another thing that you had, and it's one of the other stories, we can kind of consolidate it in one, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it's that the Romans pulled that back around that time period, late December, January, whatever, and it got pulled back and forth with the various emperors.
Right.
And then Julius is like, we got to straighten this out and get it back lined up with like the solar cycle. So he's the one that turned it into the one we know now, which is January 1st. But it kind of moved throughout the years in the different empires, or at least rulers, back and forth around that time period. He's the one who established it to January 1st.
Well, and remember, they didn't have clock radios back then. Everything they did was, based on the sun. So... we have the full moons and all that stuff that we're doing. That's how they told time and when they knew what was going on, because not everybody has snowstorms.
Right, and the other thing is that one of them, you saw in one of these, it said something about, it's not even that the new year had a date per se, they just knew it, and that probably would have been one of those, think of Stonehenge. All the various civilizations have had something... you can find these types of artifacts all over where they use some kind of physical device to understand when that cycle is repeating. Like, hole lines up with another hole in a wall that's 30 feet further away, and when the sun hits both of those, then that the cycle has started again. So that's how peoples have kind of kept that calendar cycle.
Right.
And so in one of these... sources, it says something along that line, like they didn't even know when it was per se, but they had ways to keep track of when the new year was.
Because we have the calendars, but they didn't also have a lot of paper and all that stuff to write down. It was all put in rocks and stones and
then another interesting thing was about where they came up with the name for the first month.
Oh, yeah, the Janus, I believe, which was...
We weren't sure of the
Well,
we weren't sure of the
January,
pronunciation.
so Janus.
Yeah, but I don't
Janu.
know. Does that mean that we just say it January now, and maybe it was Janus?
Hanuary.
You know, it turns out that Hannes, his a little trivia not many people know. This god, first of all, he was two-faced, supposedly. That way he could look in the back, and two-faced in the more literal sense. So he could look back and he could look forward. Therefore, looking
like
back,
a mother.
looking back, right? Eyes in the back of his head, but it was a whole face in the back of his head. So he could look back in time. He could look forward in time. Anyway, it turns out he's also muscular, and I don't know if you knew this.
Oh, he was muscular.
Hannes's full name was Hannes Claude Van Damme. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you found that trivia.
I did not.
Okay. Well, see, that's why I'm here. For these little things.
Hannes Van Damme.
Claude
Van Damme.
Yeah.
Well,
pretty sure that's right.
But so then we move in with the Christians, and the first day of the new year became the traditional occasion for thinking about one's past mistakes and resolving to do better in the future. And so, I mean, I could kind of see that.
Now, yeah, and one of the things that was interesting to me, you found a source that said John Wesley, who was an English clergyman in the middle of the 18th century, about 1740, he founded Methodism, which I guess, so yeah, and created the Covenant Renewal Service, but it's most common. So there's a service called Watch Night Services, and I had not heard of like the New Year's Eve service referred to anything in particular, and especially not Watch Night Service. But that's apparently the term. Watch Night Services. They included reading from scriptures, hymn singing, so on and so forth, served as a spiritual alternative to the raucous celebrations normally held for the upcoming New Year. And I also didn't know this. Now, I was raised as a Lutheran, but kind of got into it later because I'm adopted, and so even my family, as I came into it, didn't really particularly decide super early when I was younger. Anyway, it says, now popular within evangelical Protestant churches, especially African American denominations and congregations, watch night services held on New Year's Eve are often spent praying and making resolutions for the coming year. And I didn't know that. Now, I think of like Christmas Eve services.
Right.
But I don't really think of New Year's Eve services. Did that surprise you at all?
That surprises me. I might have heard of it, but
yeah,
maybe I don't know. That'd be interesting. It's not something that is big and promoted that I remember promoting around here, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was just news to me. I'm sure other people have heard of it, but yeah, maybe comment on that if you'd heard of that, or what your, like on Facebook, what your particular tradition is, if you have any around services around New Year's, or some kind of religious observations around New Year's, or whether yours is more secular, which for the most part we think of it today as. So go ahead.
Well, and also I want to let you know that we're getting this information from history.com. Mm-hmm. So you can go to history.com and you can find this. A lot of the stuff is coming from. We also have another resource, and that we're going to www.100daychallenge.com. And that's more of Gary Blair actually has like has a program he wants you to follow. So I kind of pulled it because I wanted to match the information.
It's a blog article off of. So you're just trying to find it more than one spot.
I just kind of wanted to see, because I mean, when you do research online, you really should look at more than one, because I could totally just make up a lie and write it down and say, the Babylonians 17,000 years ago, and people be like, that's the truth.
And to our point of how it moved back and forth, this article from 100 Day Challenge by Gary, the blog by Gary Ryan Blair, says they moved it back to December 24th as a New Year's Day due to the birth of Jesus.
Right, and then they were doing gifts for New Year's, and then they moved it, which I found interesting as well. Like they used
say that again.
They would give gifts. They would do gifts for that.
for New Year's when it was January 1st?
On the 24th.
Because it was
on the 24th, they would actually do, it says in Romans, began a tradition exchanging gifts on New Year's Eve by giving one another branches from sacred trees for good fortune, later nuts and coins imprinted with God, Janus, became more common in the new gifts. In the Middle Ages, Christians changed New Year's Day to December 25th, the birth of Jesus. Then they changed it to March 25th on a holiday called Annunciation. In the 16th century, Pope Gregory
you need to enunciate that word.
The one I don't know how to say.
Could you enunciate Annunciation, please?
Annunciation. Annunciation. I don't even know how to. Yeah. I don't even know what it was spelled. But anyway, so I'm gonna go back here. But despite, let's see here, despite the tradition, the religious roots, New Year's resolutions today are mostly secular practice. Instead of making promises to gods, most people make resolutions only to themselves and focus purely on self-improvement, which we're going to get to after. We'll talk about what they are. But this is what I found interesting is as many as 45% of Americans say they usually make New Year's resolutions. Only 8% are successful.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
This is why I don't believe in New Year's resolutions and making a big deal out of it.
And another thing, too, just around this New Year's thing, even though we are going to get more to the resolutions part, as we talked about the dates changing and things like that and the various motivations, I thought it was interesting that just to point out that, or highlight that many civilizations base their calendar off solar cycles, but some of them base it off of lunar cycles, so cycles of the moon instead. And therefore, those wouldn't match up in the same way with the 365 days. Well, like the Chinese use the lunar calendar, which I still don't truly understand, honestly.
Right.
But it does make it different, therefore.
Well, and remember back in 46 BC when Julius Caesar had to make his change, they literally had 445 days in 1 year so they could go back around. That would have been one long year.
I wonder how women probably use that to say they were younger.
They're young. Well, I mean, still the months would have happened. It would have just had the same months in there twice. Yeah, it would have been like, we're doing March. We're doing March number 2.
This year's been so long.
It's been as long as forever. So anyway, guys, we'll be back after these commercials with some more New Year's resolution stuff. Welcome to 2020. As we begin a new year, I hope that you are ready for the ride of your life. Tyson and I have so much more to discuss, and there are hours and hours more of Kimology 411 on its way. Last year was just a sampling of what we wanted to offer our fans. We are excited to continue to help direct you in new and adventurous directions. Think outside the box. Plus, we are having way too much fun to stop. Each adventure will take you places that might be unfamiliar, but it will always be entertaining. By joining Kimology 411 private group on Facebook, you can contribute to our shows. If you know of any friends who you feel would enjoy our show, please make sure to invite them to our group and podcast. In 2020, we will begin working on our YouTube channel, and we have so much more planned. Now let's get back to our current adventure. Welcome back to episode 13. We have been talking about New Year's resolutions, and I want to start out by saying I don't believe in them. I don't think that you should start a diet on Monday.
You think they're made up?
No, I don't believe in doing them. Okay.
Also, hey, we're recording this after a Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Now, granted, just, the next week. So, Friday 13th, I didn't have anything go wrong, so that's good.
No, my brother was born on Friday the 13th. Nothing could ever go any more wrong than that. I'm sorry.
Every year, you get to remind you. That's awful. That's awful. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up about the Friday. We had covered the history. Right. And now we want to talk about more of the practicality of your thoughts on. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, and so, I'm always working on lifestyle changes. And my life, the other day, I was telling someone, I don't have the typical life like you guys do. If you work a job, you get up in the morning and you go to work at 8 and you get off at 4:30. You come home, you do this, you do that, you do this, you go to bed, you get up in the morning, you go to work at 8. You kind of have that Monday through Friday. It's the same routine. And I don't have that. Like
Treadmill.
My Monday, Joey. I go Monday. I can work out in the morning. I can work out in the afternoon. I can work out in the evening. I just need to work out.
You're depressing me right now. Just kidding. Go ahead.
So, to make a New Year's resolution, I have to make my New Year's resolutions on getting my crap together, because I can literally just lay in bed for 3 days and just be like, I'll do it tomorrow. And
yeah, good point. I mean, the 8 to 5 gives you some of that structure.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're making any progress towards these types of things. It could be that you're just jumping on the treadmill for 8 hours.
Right.
But it does give you that structure where you're not just accidentally totally lazing around, which you have to be careful not to do, because while you do have the freedom to get things done quickly and efficiently and not just have to put in 40 hours regardless of how much or how little you get done, you also have the freedom of not getting to those things and therefore losing clients or not
right.
Yeah, so
like
it's a good point.
Like I'm in charge of everything. I'm my own boss. I am my own, I want to take the day off. I have to have that conversation. Okay, well, when are you going to get this stuff done? Well, I'm going to get it done here. That's not good enough for me. And I can talk back and forth to myself. And so when it comes to being changes, I start to slack on one part because I overdo another part. And I've got so many different things happening that have changed in 2019. 2019 was not a very good year for a lot of people around me, and so it was a lot of extra work to try to help the people that I'm trying to help. It was very stressful, and I doubled my accounting clients in 2019, because in 2018 I said I'm going to double my accounting clients, and I successfully did that. That is the one thing that was not a New Year's resolution. That was an October 2018 part of it. So I go by, as I was telling you, I go by a 90 days is all I do. So my new 90 days is starting in January. It won't start January 1st, but it will start on January. And I will write down what I call lifestyle changes.
Yeah, and so what you're saying then, although we haven't given the briefing on this, is when you said you didn't believe in resolutions per se, but you believe in lifestyle changes. It's not a. It's a more regular thing, not a January 1st.
Right.
thing.
It's like when someone says, "I'm going to start a diet on Monday." That's just not. That's no matter what. That's never going to happen. You're going to say, "Oh, I'm going to start on Monday," and then something. You could get sick. You could have a meeting. Something could happen, and you're like, "Okay, I'm going to start next Monday because it's not a good day." You know what? Just start on a Tuesday. Why don't you start tomorrow? No, I want to start on Monday. Why? Like Monday, start on a Saturday. No, because, the kids got that chili supper and I have to go do that. And you can give an excuse. It's like, no, don't pick a day that someone else is telling you. Pick a day that makes sense for you. And so I am writing up some stuff. So we'll go over that. But before we do that, I want to talk about when you are making your New Year's resolution and the 8% of you that are going to accomplish that. And I say, good job.
8%. One out of 12, give or take.
Yeah, well, they only have 25% actually stay committed just after 30 days. This is why the gyms make so much money, because when we go over resolutions, everybody wants to join the gym in January. And then it comes around, and if there's a contract, they end up. You don't want to join a gym in January. You want to join a gym in October because you can cancel that membership in February. Meaning, why start it the month before the cancellation date? And that's my gym that I go to. You have to cancel, and it ends on February. So you go to a gym and you find out when you cancel it and you say, I'm going to give it 4 months. Then start 4 months before the cancellation date to see if you can really, really do it. And then if you're doing it 4 months, you probably will stick into it.
I hadn't thought about the psychology they're using with that, with having it be like the February. Tell us in January. Oh, you're not going to keep up. So this year it's going to suck and you're going to get fat this year. Okay, well just tell us. It's your option. You can tell us in January. I hadn't thought about the psychology of that, but that might be part of the reason they picked that.
You know, my daughter actually.
That's fairly unusual, I think. But the particular one we're talking about, it's a yearly thing. If you agree to it, you stay another year, and then you can tell them again that if you don't tell them any, then
you can cancel anytime during the year. You're going to pay till February,
right?
And then February you don't pay anymore. And my daughter actually figured that out when she turned 25. She became her own person. They took her off my family membership, even though she still lived at home, or maybe 24. I think it's when she turned 25. But anyway, they took her off, and so we had to go in and redo everything and get my own and get hers and all that kind of stuff. And she looked at me and she looked at the lady and she goes, oh, isn't that convenient? You guys make it to where all the poor people with their resolutions come in January, and then you kidnap them for a year. And the girl lady was just looking at him like, I'm so proud of my daughter. So anyway, so January might not be, if you can only cancel if it's a contract. There's some places out there that don't have contracts, not a big deal. But check the gym before you do it, because it's set up, they kind of set you up to fail and for them to make money. That's ridiculous. But once again, that's corporate America. So anyway, so you want to make sure that when you're setting the goals for these New Year's resolutions, they're obtainable. So
you have in our show prep goals instead of resolutions.
Right.
So explain that.
Well, goals should be something that you're trying to achieve, and it just sounds better than a resolution, because a resolution, wouldn't that just be like to resolve something? So when you say, I want to go to the gym and I want to become healthier, what are you resolving, as opposed to the goal that says, I want to weigh 140 pounds instead of 170 pounds. I want to be a size 6 instead of a size 10. You have goals. You set goals as opposed to doing a resolution.
To your point, then, this resolution is just this traditional annual thing, and we're glamorizing it up when it's really just a goal. And if it's a goal, it should be more specific,
right,
and not vague and pie in the sky, right?
So there's more, you can do more action. So it kind of like when you go into a sport and you go, all right guys, what's our resolution for this season? Well, you know what, I think we're gonna win. That's not a resolution. Those are goals that we're setting. So we should set goals. And like I said before, I set 90-day goals, meaning my goals go to 90 days.
Your sports analogy, you're taking it one game at a time.
Exactly. I take it one game at a time. Well, and the thing is because in my brain, if I say to myself, I'm not going to eat donuts this year, I will fail. But if I say I'm not going to eat donuts for the next 90 days, I know in 91 days I can have a donut. And in my brain, I'm like, you can do 90 days, because in 91 days, you can have that donut if you want it.
So it's not that you're trying to break up a potential yearly thing. You really just want to go, let's just try 90 days and we can hit that.
See where we go.
And if we want to continue with that, that's great. If not, if we've made progress, let's see what else we want to try.
Right.
So if you're in the middle of your 90 days, when do you decide? Your new goal could come up anytime. It's not like you're going, okay, I've got 7 more days to come up with a goal. It's been 83 days. It's It's just like if you come up with one, it's
I
like that's on a separate calendar.
I really don't. I literally write them down, and on my people that I coach, I tell them you have to do it. And so one of my goals was that I set was that I would not eat after 8 o'clock. And I had to put a couple stipulations on there that I couldn't eat after 8 o'clock, but unless this happened, because I needed to be able to do it. But if not, if someone said, hey, Kim, let's go out and grab a pizza, and it was 8:00 on a Friday night. If that wasn't in my stipulation, I could say, well, I could go out with you, but I can't eat after 8:00. So I added in there that
you want reasonable stipulations that are exceptions that might happen, that you would not want to just derail your. Well, I just violated that, so I didn't make my 90 days.
Well, and my thing is that I just kept saying I can't do that because of my lifestyle changes, and then people would be like, I am so tired of listening to that. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm not going to fail these 90 days, and so I did it. I didn't have one of them was a donut. I'm not going to have a donut for 90 days. I'm working at the trucking company. They're bringing in donuts. They're like, you want a donut? And I'm like, nope, I can't have donuts. I can't have donuts until this date. And they're just like, man, I can't believe it. And you know what?
I just like the idea of trucker types just asking you if you want a donut.
Well, the office people, not the truckers.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a donut for an entire year. And I didn't miss it because it was part of my 90 days. And then I said, just do 90 more days. And then all of a sudden, after that year was over, I was like, screw this. I like donuts. I want a donut.
So, but you were saying stipulations. So you're saying you've learned to work those in sometimes and sometimes not. So like after 8 p.m., like for maybe once you be like, no 8 p.m. And then at some point you went, let me just work that. If it's a reasonable stipulation, then I haven't broken it because that was part of my rule to begin with, and I'm for the most part still not eating after 8 p.m.
Well, and the thing before the 8 p.m. thing is that you're not supposed to eat 3 hours before you go to sleep. Like that's kind of what they tell you. So if I'm going to stay up till 1:00 in the morning, then I can eat after 8:00 because I'm not going to bed in my justification. But it's also depending on I can eat out after 8:00. Twice a month.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, and I can pick it. I also had my cheat day. So I had to drink 2 Herbalife shakes. I could have 2 snacks, and I got to eat whatever I wanted for dinner before 8:00. And I had 1 cheat day on a Saturday or Sunday. And that meant I didn't have to do any of that stuff. I could just eat any food I wanted. And within 3 weeks, I was still drinking 1 shake a day on 1 shake a day on my cheat day, and I was still eating. I was still maintaining that thing. I didn't have to cheat, but I could if I wanted, because I'm a very stubborn person, even to myself. And so if you're stubborn and you're like, oh, I'm going to eat this, because I want that. Nope, you don't. I can eat that on Sunday. So someone would say, we're going to do that. I'm like, I can eat that on Saturday or Sunday, whatever I did. 9 times out of 10, when it got to Saturday, I no longer wanted it. But I told myself, you don't get it until Saturday. I did that for an entire year. 2014, I broke it down. I did amazing. Now,
so it's interesting because the broad concept is have a goal, but also don't make it so stark that if it's so stark that then you break it and then you're like, well, I'm a loser and there goes that one. Work some reasonable. It kind of goes along with just the, not necessarily goal, but the idea that, if you're working out or whatever, if you're on a diet and you do have that bad day, don't beat yourself up over it. Just get back to it. Say, well, that's too bad that happened. Now let's get started again.
But that's the hardest part. It's like, it's when someone fails, you have to be able to not put up those excuses. And why I'm making my changes now is I have every excuse in the book to not follow what I know I should be doing. I can justify it. My biggest one when I turned 50 was, I'm 50 years old. I can do whatever I want. And then the doctor tells you, well, when you turn 50 and you start going through menopause, your body's going to change. You're going to gain weight. And like, you know what? It's not the cheesecake. It's the menopause.
That is a T-shirt right there.
You know what?
You know what's funny about all that stuff, though, if I a really quick aside, is that the statistical, what we can do in overweight, overdrugged America is look at population studies and say, well, this is what happens, so it's normal. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that the society is healthy. It could be just that we're normally unhealthy.
Right.
So that's always interesting when they can point to that. Well, you're probably going to gain weight. No, Americans gain weight. It doesn't mean it's the the definite thing that should maybe gain weight, but if they say, you've gained 25 pounds, that's usual. Well, it might be just because what's usually happening is people are having usually unhealthy lifestyles. So you got to be careful when you're looking for those rationalizations.
Right.
In about the second most unhealthy country in the world.
Well, and so we go from resolutions to goals, and like we said, goals are so much more specific. Meaning, my goal through like a personal part was to become more healthy. I'm a pretty healthy person. I've always worked out. I've maybe gone through like the longest I haven't worked out is like 4 or 5 months when I get a really, really bad depression and I'm just like, screw the world. I'm not doing it. And then like I feel like crap and it takes me ever. And then I'm like, I really miss the gym. So I've either walked or I've been a part of a gym almost my entire life since I've been in high school. So that's in my brain, that's not a problem. People that don't have that, it's harder for them to start to do that. So they say, well, I'm going to go to the gym. That's not a New Year's resolution. The New Year's resolution is that I'm going to go to the gym no matter what, 3 days, at least 3 days a week for 30 minutes for 90 days.
Measurable.
And put something that is realistic into your life. Because if you say, I'm going to work out 5 days a week and I'm going to spend an hour and a half to 2 hours at the gym, I don't know anyone that has ever not been to the gym who has almost 2 extra hours a day to do it. Because it takes up time, especially if you've got a family and you've got kids, you have to fit it in. And the biggest thing is then it's like you start out, you're doing really good for 3 days because the husband or the wife says, I'll watch the kids. You go after dinner and go work out. You do it for 3 days and then Johnny gets sick. The husband has to work and you never go back to the gym because you get right back into this routine. So instead of doing something crazy, you start out, like I said, with my 90 days and say, I'm going to work out 3 days a week for 30 minutes a day. And you know what? You're not going to drop a lot of weight, but what you're doing is you're building a routine into your life. Or I'm going to go at lunch and I'm going to walk for 20 minutes. I'm just going to go out and walk 20 minutes. Or if you live in a building with stairs, I'm going to walk from my office on the 12th floor. I'm going to walk down the stairs every day at lunch, and I'm going to walk back up the stairs. Or whatever it is.
So you have said in some of the show prep that you want to have, not just specifics, but think of the intermediate steps.
Correct.
And so in that particular context, the intermediate steps are, hey, it might be that in 2 years you're suddenly a fitness girl.
Right.
But for now, let's look at the steps of just getting you to regularly get going.
When you dive into something,
and then later on in the 90 days or whatever, you can consider. So you should never say, "Hey, next year, okay, I make." This is just just out of the blue. So let's say somebody goes, "I make 60,000 next year. I'm a millionaire." It's like,
right.
Probably not.
Probably.
So,
quirky things happen, but
yeah. But you can go. You know what? I want to make more money next year. So same idea with the fitness thing. Sometimes the steps are what are the logical underlying preparatory things, which I'd like you to get to at some point.
Right.
That are also specific things that can get you to where you want to go. And you have to think of those underlying fundamental kind of preparation, foundational things, because this thing's not going to come out of the blue. This goal, and other times. The intermediate steps are, well, you need to start out first before you can get to grandiose things. You
Correct.
can't. I'm 170 bad pounds right now. I can't say next year I'm going to be 230 at 10% body fat. I could, so there's intermediate steps there.
And the thing is that why are you making the resolution? So is it for your happiness? Is it for your health? Because you have to actually analyze why you're doing what you're doing and does it make sense, or are you just doing the same thing every year? I'm going to flip over here just so I can read it. So give an example.
Are you saying, like, don't do it just because you've heard it, or don't do it because you think someone else would want you to do it? Or
number one
to satisfy your partner?
Number one is diet and eat healthier.
So you got a list of the common ones?
Yeah, these are the common, but so this was the common one. Diet. Okay, so here are the top 3. Diet and eat healthier, exercise more, and lose weight. Okay? The top 3 have to do with losing weight. Are we doing this for what reason? Are you doing it to make yourself happier? Or are you doing it for your health? Because a lot of people go with happiness. You know what would make me happier is if I made more money. I don't understand, like, are all these people literally living a life for the first 3 things that are so superficial of my size that they're not worried about being able to do more fun things and actually wanting money?
So are you telling me that it is possible, it's possible right now, that a 240-pound man with 35% body fat could be more attractive than a 155-pound man with 3% body fat if the former is worth $2.5 million and the latter is worth minus $10,500. Is that what you're telling me? That
I did not say he was attractive. I said he would be happier. If you got the overweight ugly thing going for you, I mean, you might as well have the billions of dollars. I mean, it doesn't help out. It doesn't hurt. Inside
show joke though, but the big guy smiles a lot too.
Yes.
So that helps his attractiveness.
Yes, exactly. He spreads his joy. No, what I'm saying is that our society that we live in, per se, in the United States...
Get to your fundamental thing that is going to be... Are you doing this because it's a... Are you doing this because it's supposed to be a thing that's a burden that you're supposed to do? Society says you're supposed to be skinny. Do you see yourself being happier just because you're 15 pounds lighter and now can run 10 miles? Or was that... Do you like running 10 miles, or do you think for instance?
Right. Or would you be happier if your boss gave you a 30% raise, or you got a promotion at work because you focused more on different things?
That's an interesting point because, yeah, you're right. The common ones are, I need to look better.
Yeah.
And now sometimes that is a fundamental, like, as people are getting older, I say there's nothing more important than mobility, and specifically thigh strength. Thigh strength.
Yeah.
Thigh strength.
But that has to do with health,
because that way you can, when you fall, you can get up. I know.
Right.
I don't even mean that as a joke.
No.
There are people who at 50, if they fall, that's a problem for them.
Correct.
If you literally have good thigh strength, you can get back up, and you also have better bone density. So that type of thing is a health.
But that's
thing,
a health thing,
not a vanity
thing. But that's not
thing
going
per se,
to. That's not going to the gym and saying I want to diet and eat healthier. That's fine. But exactly define that for me. And define how you're gonna achieve that, and then you want to exercise more and you want to lose weight. I mean, those 3 go together. That's really just one resolution. Like if you are eating healthier and exercising, if you're eating healthier, you should always exercise, and exercise is what you want to do, and that's what you need to do. But that's not the only resolution / goals out there. We have to expand our goals, and we have to think, okay, so I want to make more money, and that's not your resolution. Might be I want to make more money. Okay. So what are you going to do? I don't get it. Like, how are we going to make more money?
Red light district, baby.
You're going to change corners? Is that what you're saying?
I always wonder why nobody comes around. I'm like, oh, it's red light?
It's red
I
light?
thought it was blue light. Everybody thought I was
Kmart.
a discount for a reason.
That's a
like, that guy's going to be awful. Low quality.
So
terrible.
How are you going to make more money? Is it going to be a promotion? Is it going to be changing a job? You've got to figure that out. So if it's a promotion, you have to know what's available at your job. So if you're looking to make more money and you want a promotion, then you've got to go take the effort to actually go after that. Because nowadays, nobody comes to you and just says, oh my gosh, Tyson, you're so awesome. We have this new job for you that we want you to go to.
Or worse, what they don't do, they just don't do it. And it's really a problem with our society. Is they don't say, you know what, your expertise versus when you got here and your value to the company is literally 100% more than it was when we hired you.
Right.
That's how much you brought to this company. That's how much institutional knowledge you have. And if we hired somebody else, they would be lost, and it would take them a long time. So it would not be worth us to bring in somebody else that only 80% of what you make now. And in fact, it's very worth it for us to keep you, to try to incentivize you to stay by giving you a 40% raise. That hardly ever happens.
No. They don't do that kind of stuff. So if that's the kind of job that you're in and you're wanting to make more money and you see a house that you want to buy or a new car, then you need to start networking. You need to start looking for jobs. You need to build your resume, get it updated. You have to take some energy into that. So your goal at the end of the year, you have to know if you're making more money, your goal is, I want a new job making more money, or I'm going to get that promotion.
And then you're saying outline all the smaller steps.
Right. You've got to have a plan. So once again, you're on a timeline. So are you going to have a job? When do you want to have this job? Because if you say, I want to have this job in December, why don't you want it in May? Because you're just going to procrastinate, or you say, I'm going to have a new job within the next 4 to 5 months.
You're taking a macro version of that. I've mentioned it more than once in the podcast, and that's the Timothy Ferriss look at a 4-hour work week, where he says if it's important enough to do, it's important enough to do now and quickly.
Right.
Because when we go, oh, we got a deadline, but it's not due till, let's see, it's coming up on January. Don't worry, this thing's not till March. Due till March. Well, guess what? You're not going to touch until at least January 30th.
Right.
Because it's not due till the end of March.
Right.
You're not even going to touch it.
And
then you're going to start working on it. Not due till end of March, though. So you do a little bit of work in early February. Then you're like, hey, well, I got 10% of it done. And then guess when you're going to be working on it.
Yeah.
I said it's due the end of March. You're going to be working hard on it starting probably March 15th.
Right.
So it's like a macro version of that, where he says, if you got something to do today, make your top 3 things that you have to get done, and don't add a bunch of extra stuff, and do them as soon as possible and as quickly as possible.
Right.
And so you're saying, well, why would you say by the end of the year?
Right. Yeah, because I was like,
try to do it quicker.
Right. So but you want to be working on it, and so what if it doesn't happen till June? At least it happened. If you have a goal of May, and it's not going to exactly happen because you're looking for a job, but you need to start making things in a habit. Just like you said, if you've got these different goals, and that's why I do 90 days. I set something because at 90 days, it gives you that push to do it. It also gives you an out at the end of 90 days. And you want to start making it a daily routine to where after 90 days, it's no longer on your list. It's just comes natural. And in order for that, you've got to find a system. It's got to fit into your schedule. And that's why I tell all of my clients when they say, well, I'm going to go work out. I'm like, you may work out 3 days a week for no more than 45 minutes. Oh, no, I got to go. Nope. I want you to go, and I want you to only work out for 45 minutes. Just stop what you're doing, and you're going to do that for 2 weeks. And I want you to tell me how it fits into your schedule. And you have to tell me. And they come back and they're like, well, the first week went good. The second week, Johnny got sick and I didn't get to go because I had to take him here. Nope. You failed because you were supposed to you want to go 3 hours and look all this big and bad, but you can't even go 45 minutes 3 days a week. And so
that's what she said.
You have to.
Just so you know, I am listening. I heard the exact way you phrased that. And it worked.
It did work.
No, it's
so anyway, so it's if you set yourself goals, you've got to have structure to these New Year's resolutions and limits. I'm just going to read these off really fast.
Well, can I real quick to your point? it's not even necessarily sequential structure. Sometimes it's step structure. Like you said, or, various pieces. If you're starting to look for a job, you need to start networking. That's one. Update your resume. Plan your job search. We need to hire a coach to help you with the goals. What else do you have to do? Those are all things where you can start ticking those off and go, you know what? I've done 3 of the 4, but now it's networking time and actually applying.
Right.
And so you can, all those little miniature, not even necessarily, some of those are sequential, but some of them they can happen at the same time or overlap or not. So I just thought you made a good example there, and I just wanted to highlight it for you. Yep. But yeah, go. You were talking about.
So anyway, we're going to just go really fast here, and then we'll get into our New Year's resolutions. #goals. Like I said, the top resolutions that we found: 71% of the people diet and eat healthier, 65% exercise more, 54% lose weight, 32% save more and spend less. Let's not even make more money. Like, what a goal is that? I want to spend less and save more. I don't want to make more.
You've read a lot of self-help books.
Yeah,
it's the scarcity mentality.
Yeah, that's not even a good. That's not even positive. Okay, learn a new skill or hobby. Okay, that's fun. Quit smoking. Yeah, that's a New Year's resolution. Like, quit smoking is just quit smoking. It's bad for you. Read more. I actually made that one of my goals. And that was the year that I read 42 books. Okay, I listened to 42 books. I do not read, but I listened to 42 books.
First podcast. I'm not a reader.
I'm not a reader. I'm not.
We have enough material. We need to start doing those drops.
Yeah, exactly.
Time for Kim. I'm not a reader.
I'm not a reader. I'm not. It's boring.
Anyway,
and then here's find another job, 16%. 15%. Who are these people? Drink less alcohol.
I can't hardly drink any less.
Yeah, I was going to say, for when you don't drink any. Spend more time with
strangely, that would be a very hard resolution for me to drink less.
Exactly.
Failed. I'm such a loser.
Exactly. And then the last one on the list is spend more time with friends and family. Mine, so anyway, we're going to go really quick over ours, and we're going to try to keep ourselves for the next 90 days. We're going to guide ourselves through telling you how we have practiced it, because my first one is organizing my business better. And that's just because I've doubled my clients, and I'm still working like I only have 9 clients. And when I have 18 clients, I haven't restructured my way of doing things, and I have been working on that.
So this is knowing you have to build in these sub-steps and
stuff. This is my overall, that's my overall goal. Okay. And then the steps will come. And then I need to follow a more stringent schedule when it comes to my work, my workout, my eating, and just basic life. So mine is basically a schedule. There's nothing about going to the gym more or anything like that. I literally already go 5 times a week, but I need to take it more seriously, because for the last 6 months, I don't know what it's been, is that I'm just going through the motion. I'm not psychologically into my workout.
I thought your triceps didn't look as cut up.
Yeah, as I'm sitting here in my muscle shirt. And so those are my things, and we'll be kind of walking through this about some other podcasts, because I believe that freeing up your schedule allows you to do a lot more, and I think that a lot of our schedule is got a lot of wasted time in it.
Oh yeah, and you, like I said before, I read that Timothy Ferriss book. And the thing is, 8 to 5ers, it's hard. Unless you can work remote, I work hard, but I also know I work inefficiently, definitely in some ways, because my tendency will be not to just slack off. It'll be to try to dig too far into things. I know, right? Hard to believe.
Exactly.
So hard to believe.
Investigator.
So, even that, it's like, okay, don't waste time doing things you really don't have to do.
Correct, right.
And also don't waste time trying to be too helpful. Because you can be helpful all day, but in the end, did you need to be that helpful, or could you have answered more quickly, or did they need your help? Some of it is even making yourself less available. I know that's quite kind of an aside,
Right.
But because part of prioritization is to almost help other people prioritize that they probably don't need what they think they do from you. And that sounds selfish, but it's true. But you're in a situation where you can do that.
Right.
You're in the ideal Timothy Ferris situation.
Right.
Where you don't have to just sit there for image and, oh, you weren't there at 8. You were there at 8:05 for 5 days. Somebody said you haven't been there right at 8 for a while now. Oh, excuse me. I also didn't leave at 4:30. So.
Right, yeah.
But nobody notices that.
And see, the reason that I have my jobs that I have is because I work exceptionally fast at what I know how to do. And so all the jobs that I've had before, I'm done within like 3 hours. And then they want me just to sit there and do absolutely nothing. And so I'm really not making that much money. So what I did was I kind of quit that and I bill them for the time that I need to get billed for and I leave. Like, I don't have to stick around to any of my clients because I have another client to go to. So that's kind of, I'm lucky that I get to do that. I can't sit around. I've had a couple jobs where I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then they end up giving me more people's jobs because other people are so flippin' slow.
That's what happens.
That I end up having to do more work. If you're too helpful,
and that's the other part of it. If you're too helpful in that type of environment, guess who gets all the work?
Right. Yeah. Me.
And then the people who are not helpful get to sit on their duff.
And so 2018, all I have to say is the only resolution/goal I had was called world domination. So I hashtagged everything world domination because I was going to take on the world, which I did when I doubled my clients, which is ridiculously just weird that I was able to do that within 3 months. So this is world domination 2.0 for 2020. Did you get that?
2.0, 2020.
2020?
Yes, that's good.
Look at me.
I'm contractually obligated to say that's good sometimes. Even if
you know that was good. Don't even lie.
You said that I was supposed to come up with something.
Yeah, you got to come up with something.
And we need to just check on these once a month or once every 6 weeks. So you can critique this. So I wrote this quickly because I read the show notes but didn't really get that I was supposed to maybe have
I told him last time, but he ignored me.
Oh. Snowy! Okay, this sounds convoluted. I know, right?
Uh-huh.
But this is, to me, it's almost like I built in a sub-step because I know I can't do the second part unless I do the first.
Correct. Get
to a point where I feel comfortable to turn my current job over and then apply to jobs egregiously to make more money. So, like, right now, I know that's an obstacle. I like to stay in my position, but then logically, what did I tell you? I know that you don't get in-place raises. It doesn't happen in 2020. No. And so I need to apply for other jobs, but I need to get to a point where I can do that. And I know a certain obstacle, which I'm not going to get specific, that I want to make sure that all the progress we've made doesn't go by the wayside because it wasn't documented well.
Correct.
Right? It wasn't like agreed to and documented well. So that's one. And I know, again, you don't have your sub-steps yet either, so neither do I. So maybe we'll work on those. On that. Get finances figured and get into a home. Because I rent. I mean, I know a lot of people.
So you want to purchase a home?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I meant no more cardboard boxes for me.
You don't want to live on the street anymore?
No.
Underneath the bridge?
It's getting cold, man.
It's getting cold. It's cold.
And then my third one, this is going to be a little harder, but I think I need to finally just turn this corner and get the Chiefs to the Super Bowl.
You do? So this has been your fault for how many years?
A while. I feel bad about it.
You do.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, here's my deal. You know, remember what you said, that why just make this a year thing?
Right.
I'm saying that I'm going to try to attain this goal by the middle of February.
Oh, that's pretty definite.
Yeah. Since that's when the Super Bowl is. They haven't attained it by then. They're not doing it in 2019.
Exactly.
So
not happening.
We'll try that.
Not happening.
So that's what I have.
So like, because I do my 90 days and you said to start instantly, when it comes to the job and the house,
I have to come up with sub-steps.
Yeah.
I don't have them yet.
Okay. But I meant like, no, is that something that you want within the year? Or are you going to, when are we starting that?
See, my finances in one sense are okay, but I'm scared because I've had some credit issues. Like, it's weird to me for finances, it's getting way too personal. But it's like, it's always funny to me with finances, like, my rent's more than payments would be. And
right.
I've obviously never been kicked out, so is there anything made? Is there some kind of, consideration made for that?
There is. First-time home buyers. Have you ever bought a house before?
No.
Yeah, they have different stuff out there. We'll talk about that
look
another
into that
time.
type of thing. That's some of the sub-steps.
Perfect.
See if you qualify for something, that type of thing.
So, okay, perfect. All right, guys. Well, I think this is going to end this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you set some goals for yourself. It doesn't have to be January 1st, although this podcast did come out on New Year's Eve, so, I mean, you got time if you want to do it, but we would love to hear about your goals that you set, your plan for them, your steps to get to where they're going, because if you're really serious about it, then you're going to put a little bit of thought into it, and you'll hear about ours. We'll add some stuff to these coming up in the near future, because I've got some different things that I'm working on, and I'd be glad to share some links and things in the descriptions.
Your accountability could be, at least vaguely, or unofficially, that you wrote that on Facebook or whatever, on social media.
Yep, you got
start there.
Yep, start in our
Now
group.
remember, your first one may not have to be specifics,
yeah,
but you do need to get the specifics.
Right. Yep. Start with your overall resolution, and then the goals come underneath that. If your resolution is I'm going to get healthier, then how are you going to get there? Those are the goals. Those are the goals that you're going to be listening to, or you're going to be listing, and that we're going to be wanting to read. So. Anyway, that is this episode. Thank you guys so much for giving us your time. We appreciate our listeners and excited that our show is just growing and growing. And we're actually on episode 13, which that's crazy.
When did that happen?
That's crazy.
Just like an hour ago.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure to comment on our Facebook group, Chemology 411. And if you haven't joined yet, this is getting ridiculous. You should have already joined. Ridiculous. Thank you, Tyson, for helping make Chemology better than it would be without you.
Thank you. Do what I can. Thanks, Kim.
We'll talk to everyone soon. Please make sure to keep going on your adventures.